Okay then, right Don, so I think we've done. As we said, I've done very little to this sheath. I've just put a little bit of leather balsam on it, used for saddles, and also a bit of beeswax on your dad's stitching around there, just to try and preserve that that thread, that string almost, that thick thread that's been used. So I've done nothing with that, but I've done quite a bit with this. So, pardon the fingerprints because it's all covered in wax polish. First thing you might notice is that it's straight. It was a bit of an effort to be honest, because it was, you know exactly what it was like. But I did manage to straighten it in the quenching press that I have. But unfortunately, it did the spine but didn't do the edge, so I had to do some sly work with the hammer to realign the edge. But the edge is now realigned and it's almost straight. You almost kind of possibly wouldn't know that it had been bent quite so severely. It's now got a good edge on it. I've got your address label here, which I'm not showing. A good edge on it, not all the way down, but it's fairly sharp now. And obviously it has the engraving, or the etch that we discussed. You can see that the blade's not particularly shiny. It is along the edge where I've had to actually put an edge on it. That's polished up, but there's still a lot of the old original dinks. The spine's been, well, considerably tidied up. All that burr's gone. Quite a lot of the knocks and bangs. I've left a few knocks and bangs in the spine, so you can see it's had a bit of history to it. Around the handle, so these are the original handle scales. You can still see they're a slightly different colour, but I think that kind of adds to the charm and the originality of it. Still a few dinks and bumps that your dad probably put on this at some point in its life. But these are now glued on, so they're not coming off. They use those Loveless bolts we talked about. And of course there's a new brass bolster on the front of it, which is, you might be able to see in there, it's fixed by 2 pins. But because it's ground and polished back, you can't really see them unless you look hard. But again, that should last forever. I've just actually scratched that brass up by rubbing it with this cloth. But what I suggest you invest in actually is a bit of Duraglit or Brasso or something to keep these in good fettle, because over time they will kind of degrade and get that green verdigris stuff on it, especially if it's tucked away for long periods of time. In fact, what I suggest you do if it's tucked away for a long period of time is not keep it in the sheath itself, but wrap it in a dry cloth. Because I think it's carbon steel, it is carbon steel, and it's less likely to go rusty if it's wrapped in a dry cloth rather than against the leather of the sheath, because the acids and bits and bobs in the dye and the leather and all that can affect the steel. So there we go, bit of a different beast to what arrived in the post. Hope you're happy with it, and it's now back to being sort of a usable thing. Okay, cheers now.